Welcome back to Keep Off the Fence Podcast, episode 6. Yes, we're still here. We've not been cancelled. We've not been taken off the airwaves, mainly because we produce this podcast, so it's a bit difficult to take us off the airwaves, really. But nevertheless, joining me today is the man who, for the first time yesterday in what must be quite a long time, he went to his local pub, sampled some of the finest ale that, I'm sure he'll correct me in a minute if this is not correct, but that Sheffield has on offer. And luckily, he's still here and doesn't look hungover. It's Matthew Rhodes.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not hungover. It's okay. I kind of got a bit carried away and didn't wear a coat. That was the main concern that I had, because unfortunately the beer garden that we were in, we were totally covered in shade. So I ended up getting quite cold when we were there till about 9 p.m. But yeah, only had 2 pints. I'm a responsible parent now, so no going crazy for me anymore.
Is that the first sort of outing as a 3 to the pub? Or is it? Did you go previously?
We went as a 3 to pubs when things got lifted a bit, and you're allowed to go inside pubs like around July, late June, July. So yeah, we introduced Isabel to that to the pubs, which very much enjoyed. That's a good sign. So yeah, but yeah, it was the first time this year that we could have a drink outside in a pub, which was nice. And yesterday I saw one of my brothers and his family for the first time in over a year, over 12 months. So yes, that was nice as well. So things very gradually getting a bit more back to normal. Long may that continue.
Well, that's exactly it. It's progress. It's slow progress, but it's progress. We're now, we'll talk about things today that have been arranged. We'll talk about things that are going on in and around the club. There really is a sense now that we're getting to the point where we're getting some sort of normality back. Yes, that comes with caveats, of course. There's still going to be mask wearing. There's still going to be social distancing and things of that nature. But it's just nice to venture into town, as an example here in Matlock, and, just see people about it. Feels that bit of normality just makes everything just seem back to normal to a degree. And I think that's what a lot of people needed.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very much ready for things to start getting back to normal now. Obviously, the difference being at this point, rather than last summer, is obviously that people are getting vaccinated now. So obviously, it's still it's not over by any means, but it's a lot better than what it was 12 months ago. So just hopefully means that by the time pre-season friendlies are on, which I think we'll talk about in a bit more detail, hopefully if this road plan is a success, it just means that you can have near enough a full crowd without any limits. Imagine there'll be some sort of guidelines still, I'd imagine, but it will feel almost a bit back to normal. Obviously, if the weather's really good, if we get a summer like we did, like when it was 2018, when it was England doing well in the World Cup, that'll make it even better as well.
Memories, lovely memories.
Yeah.
But we didn't come here to chat COVID. We came here to chat about football. But that means, first of all, we have to, of course, undertake some admin. I want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to the podcast so far, whether you've downloaded it on Spotify, whether you downloaded it on Amazon Music or Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy this podcast, and we really hope you do, if you go onto any of those platforms, in particular Apple Podcasts, and leave us a review, a star rating, it will do wonders for this podcast. It will also help get the club's name out there further afield. So takes about a minute of your time. Would highly appreciate it. Secondly, we are now in spring. And do you know what that means, Matt?
You get to see lambs.
That's not where I was going with this, but we'll go with it. The nights are longer. The weather's a tad bit warmer. You know, people are out in beer gardens. People are out in the sun, enjoying themselves, having a walk around the park. But that also means that people should invest in their spring/summer wardrobe. And do you know where the best place on the internet is to invest in your spring/summer wardrobe?
Well, I believe the Matlock Town online store would be a very good place for that, James.
I mean, we didn't even rehearse this. It's telepathic link. He knows that you can get great products at a great price at www.matlocktownfc.co.uk / always the / club shop. We've got new t-shirts. We've got old t-shirts. We've got mugs. We've got monkeys. We've got bears. We've got, you name it, we've got golf stuff. And if you are a keen golfer, then we have a few remaining spots on our golf day, upcoming golf day. You can still purchase in to the tournament via the club shop online. I don't believe there's that many tee times left, but it promises to be a great day. A lot of money raised for the club, which is always vital, especially at the minute. And it should be a great day. We have a great relationship with Matlock Golf Club, and it's one really to mark on the calendar and look forward to. Is there anything else that I can think of? There is. I believe we will have an established date for Matlock Town Cricket Club versus Matlock Town Football Club. Now, I don't believe, as things stand, there will be fans in attendance for this. I may be wrong, so keep an eye on your social media platforms for that. I'm sure somebody will give a mention either way, but that's something to look forward to. I know it's something that the clubs did a lot in the past. It's something we're keen to bring back, develop that relationship more with our neighbours at Matlock Cricket. We've always had a good relationship with them, but we, as part of Chairman Bryn Appley's, I should say, he really wants us to get more involved with the community, and that's one of the ways we're doing so. Now, with all the admin out of the way, we're going to head into the news. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, James, Matt, we're in April. Where's the news? And I'm here to tell you, I've got news. And that news is Matlock Town Football Club, and hold on to your hats for this one, have arranged their first friendly for the 21-22 season. I know.
Well, I was able to fill in my diary on one of the days. That was nice.
But Matt, where is said game? Who is the opposition? And when will it take place?
It is the world's oldest football team. It is Sheffield FC. One of the few teams in Sheffield not getting relegated this season. Sheffield FC away from home. I'm sure I've annoyed to just realise how many Matlock supporters also support Sheffield Wednesday. That won't have gone down well. But we've got Sheffield FC at Sheffield. They've got a new stadium coming, but I'm pretty certain that won't be ready in time. That's a few years away yet. But what's the name of their stadium? I can't remember. It's not Sandy Lane. That's Hallam, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to tell you now because I happen to know this.
Ooh.
We will be heading to the BT local business stadium.
Is that the name of it?
I believe so, unless it's changed and I'm a liar, which I'm hoping not. I will pray to the Google gods to find out. According to Wikipedia, that heavily reliable source that anyone can edit on the internet, so you know you're always getting the best results. According to Wikipedia, it's still called the BT Local Business Stadium.
There you go. Well, I mean, for anyone, well, I'd imagine a lot of people will want to go. Obviously, if there's not really many restrictions at all, because obviously we've barely watched any football games actually in the flesh and not just on TV for a number of months. So I'd imagine it would get a pretty healthy crowd in there, because obviously it's not a long trip. But I suppose the added bit to it is that it might be Matlock fans' last chance to see Sheffield FC in Dronfield, because their new stadium, which looks really good with the plans that I've seen for it, they will actually be heading back to Sheffield, which makes sense, I suppose. So yeah, it could be the last time opportunity to go to that stadium, which is quite nice. I've only been there once before. That was in pre-season. It was about a week before I started working for Matlock. Might have been the last football game I went to before I did Matlock work. So I went to watch Chesterfield in pre-season, so in the first COVID season, away against Sheffield. And yes, a nice little stadium, nice pub, literally right at the front of it, which is always good. So yeah, it's a good friendly to have, and I'm keen to see what other friendlies are going to be announced in the near future.
I do believe, unless plans have changed, there are still ongoing talks with the Derbyshire FA and numerous other clubs about the Derbyshire Senior Cup. I presume that is going to make an appearance during pre-season. We don't have dates for that yet, but it's one of them. I think on paper that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance as well for clubs to, even if they could just not maybe have full capacity, but even if they could just have some fans in, then if, for example, you get, a Derby or a Chesterfield or a Buxton or something like that, and I think for a lot of people, having that competition in there as well as the pre-season friendlies would be a really nice caveat to the usual 5 or 6 friendlies that you chuck in, because football is not the usual, the world's not the usual. So it's all about sort of building up to the season as best you can.
Yeah. I would quite like the idea, even if it's just if you have the Derbyshire Senior Cup as normal once the season's kicked off, to have even if it's just like a one-off, I don't know, Derbyshire Summer Cup, something like that, where you just have like invited teams into it, maybe like 8 teams. I think it would make sense, just because it'd be good for attendances. Very good to have local matches after such a long run without any games. It would make sense, I think, just to try and make pre-season as competitive as possible. So yeah, it'd be really good if Matlock played like a team like Alfreton, Buxton, Ilkeston, or even like some sort of Chesterfield team or Derby team. It'd be really, really good. So I'd quite like to see some sort of bit more of a competitive edge to pre-season, just because of how long we've had to wait for football to actually see it again at Matlock's level. So yeah, that would be good. So hopefully that gets announced at some point in the near future. And for any other friendlies, yeah, just hopefully they're local enough. Like Staveley would be really good for Staveley Miners' welfare, because I know they've made loads of improvements to their stadium. So I'd quite like to go there. I think quite a few people would like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what gets announced next for Matlock's pre-season schedule.
Well, that's it. Keep your eyes glued on our club website. Keep your eyes glued on the social media profiles. As soon as there is news to bring you, those are the places you can get the news. And now looking forward, again, it's not just pre-season news we have, because this week saw some developments at the ground. Some work has gone on. All COVID regulations followed, of course. We've had some companies in. We've had some volunteers helping out. Are you aware of what's going on down there, Matt, or do you want me to give you a little rundown?
I've seen a bit of on social media of stuff that's happened. So yeah, I understand a bit where the pitch rises up a little bit in the corner. There's been some work to get that leveled off, and it sounds like the PA system has had a much needed makeover, I think.
But yes, the best analogy that I can give is that if you think of, say, you've got an A4 bit of paper, yeah, and sometimes with paper, whether it's been side a drawer for a while or whatever, the corners fold in. Have you ever had that, Matt? Where the corner of your paper's folded in. Matlock's pitch was a bit like that in particularly two corners. Now, that's just how the ground is when the club moved there. It wasn't a case of anything the club itself did. It was just a case of that's how the ground naturally is. So we've had people come in to work on that. I've seen some strange comments online going, can't believe you've got rid of the corners. That was added character to ground. And I'm like, it's a mould of dirt. If you're coming to Matlock for a mould of dirt in a corner, I don't know what to tell you. As my cat decides to very noisily interrupt the podcast there. Hopefully he'll be done soon. If not, I'm going to have to put him up for adoption. So there you go.
Well, the ground, even without any work, the ground doesn't slope as much as Hallam's ground. If you've ever been there, that's amazing. Like, I feel like if Hallam got promoted, I think they'd have to sort out the pitch, because it is genuinely like a slope on one half. So you're genuinely running uphill a bit on the side of the pitch that's closest to the entrance. So yeah, it's not quite as bad as that, but yeah, it's probably something I did need doing for Matlock's pitch. Yeah,
very very much so. We needed, as you pointed out, a new tannoy system's been put in. Something I think we've needed for a very long time. We've made a forward step into the 21st century. You've heard video of how that sounds. What's your opinions on it from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, sounds a lot better because I think before it just sounded a little bit scratchy, didn't it? So yeah, it's just it'll just enhance the sort of match day experience once obviously a lot of people are back in. And yeah, it'll just enhance the atmosphere. So it can only be a good thing. It just sounded like it needed a bit of a revamp. There's actually a bit now, isn't there? Sort of like the new speaker bit, like where you'd be speaking into the mic. That's now right by where the little press bit is now, isn't it? At the back of the twig stand.
I believe so. I believe it's been routed that way.
Yeah.
More for anything than visibility. I know Keith Thurston, who does the PA, that the problem he was having was because was currently next to the T-bar. You have that little window, but you can't always see well out of it. So occasionally you get like a goal scorer wrong through no fault of his own. It's just, you know, when you're having to look through a tiny window and rely on sometimes secondhand knowledge of what's happened, people, as with anything, can get things wrong. So it should be something that the club gets use out of for many years to come. And I think, again, If Matt will bear with me a second, because I've totally forgot the company's name that put it in. Progen Electrical Services, a local Matlock business. I know the club is always keen to use local contractors when it comes to doing any sort of project. It's something the club looks to really support the community with that. And so it was great to work with a local company. A lot of praise for them. They appear to have done a great job. And the club seems very happy. And I think it's these, they're not the massive wholesale, I'm going to build a new a new stand, or I'm going to, do this, that, and other. Sometimes it's those little improvements that can mean a lot for a club like Matlock. And it's all about enhancing the matchday experience for fans, enhancing the matchday experience for players, and enhancing the matchday experience for the community as well. I know, sometimes we host juniors games. I know there's been a real push to get the ladies team having a few games down there.
Oh, that's one of the things. Matlock ladies are actually back. Well, not at the Proctor Cars Stadium, but I think they've been allowed to continue with the season that obviously had to be paused for a long time. So at that level of the women's game, I think they have been allowed to keep going with their season. So I think they won. I think they've won the vast majority of their games. So Matlock ladies are back. I think they play at Cavendish Fields. Does that sound right? Yeah,
they do. They've only played one game so far.
Yeah,
against Woodlands Reserves. I believe they won 3-1. And they went goal down early doors, but then pulled a goal back. There was a break due to snow because, lol, Great Britain. But 3 goals were scored, and Matlock ladies left the field triumphant. It was something I was going to bring up later in the podcast, but
sorry,
you just can't stop Matt. He's a knowledge machine. He comes in, he goes, "I've got all these topics for you," and I'm like, "Matt, don't you worry about it. It's always good to talk football. It's always good to talk Matlock Town." Now, that's pretty much the news summed up. As always, keep an eye on the social media channels, keep an eye on the website, because with them in 2 weeks between the podcasts, of course, things can and usually do happen. So if you're wanting the latest up-to-date news, there's your place to go. I should add as well, while it's on my mind, that you may have noticed that the last 2 podcasts have had no guests on. That is because at the minute, we are not 110% sure, myself and Matt, this is, what Paul Phillips' squad is going to look like for next season. We don't want to have someone on, and then, for example, Paul says, "Oh, by the way, that player's moving on." Now, we've had no indication who's staying and who's moving on other than what Paul said. So we will have guests back. It's not a foregone conclusion on that. It's just a case of doing what we can at the moment. So definitely let us know who you'd like to hear on here. Maybe we'll see some supporters on at some point. Maybe we'll see people involved in the club in a non-playing capacity. Maybe we'll even have Shuts on and talk goalkeeping, because I like Shuts. So why not? That's the beauty of this podcast. But we're going to move on now to perhaps not a main topic of the day, but one of them. The Golden Fencepost, one of the most prestigious football awards out there. You see, Matt, I believe, from what I've heard, it goes the Ballon d'Or. It goes the Golden Fencepost. Now, when we left you last time, listeners, me and Matt had a debate, a discussion about the several categories on offer, who we should put forward, what names, who would take home a fence post of the golden variety. And Matt said to me, he said, "James, I've got an idea." He says, "Why don't you put a name forward, and I'll put a name forward. We'll put a nominee forward each. and then we'll take it to the public. And I said, Matt, that is genius. So my bearded friend here took to the Twitter sphere and he put the polls up. And Matt, I'm just hearing in my ear right now that you have the results of said polls. So, my friend, can you run us through who has won what?
Yeah, I'll try and run it through my old memory because I've not got it written down. But yeah, if you've not seen it on social media, so the winners in the end, well, the Hall of Fame, the first 3 spots that went to Jordan Sinnott, Peter Swan, and Tom Wright. And Tom wrote on social media actually about that, saying thank you very much for it. He seemed quite honoured by it, so that was nice. So that was good to hear from Tom.
That's it's always nice to hear feedback of any kind. And Tom's definitely somebody who obviously he's still involved with the club on the commercial side of things, but it would have been wrong not to recognise the amount of hours, the amount of stress and everything that comes with being a football chairman. So I'm glad that we got a chance to honour him, and I hope he felt honoured by that and felt that his years of service and his continuing years of service are recognised.
Absolutely, yeah. So there were your 3 Hall of Fame spots. So let's see how good my memory is. So the best goal.
Hang on, I've got a better idea. How about I come to you and I'll ask you category by category.
All right.
And you tell me who the winner is.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, like, just imagine if you're sat at home now, myself and Matt, we're obviously Golden Fenceposts, prestigious awards, second only to the Ballon d'Or. We're all suited up here in our respective homes. And we're ready to open the golden envelopes because we really like gold for some reason. Everything has to be gold. To let you know who the winners are. So first of all, Matt, I'm going to go to you. What was the moment of the season? This one didn't go to fans vote. This was decided by myself and you.
Yeah. So I'm opening the envelope.
Oh,
You'll just have to imagine all this back at home. So yeah, the golden envelope, and the moment of the season was unanimously, well, not just the goal, but the goal and the sort of couple of minutes afterwards when Peter Cruz slotted home against Hyde United for an equaliser in what was the first game after the passing of Jordan Sinnott. And so the moment of the season goes to the goal celebration after that moment where Peter Cruz ran to the dugout and held aloft a Sinnott 25 shirt with all the other Matlock players and staff surrounding him. So we felt that didn't really need to go to the public. I'm pretty sure everyone, even if you're not a Matlock fan, would be unanimous in saying that was the Matlock moment of the past 2 seasons. So yeah, that goes to the goal celebration after Peter Cruz scored against Hyde.
Now, as a balding, heavily tattooed man, there was a tear in my eye during that moment. And I believe you truly have to have a heart made out of stone to not be filled with emotion. I mean, even going back and seeing that moment on video, it's just, it's heartbreaking but heartwarming at the same time. It's something that you never think, whether you're involved in a football club, whether you're a supporter of football, you never dream because you just don't, it doesn't bear thinking about that your club or someone you know will go through that. So how the club responded and that moment in general, it's enshrined in history as something that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I'm glad, Matt, when we sat down and did these 2 weeks ago, that was something we could, it was easily agreed on. But we're now going to move on to our second award. That's right. The golden envelope is out again. But this award, Matt, this is for the best goal. And that did go to the public. So who is our winner?
So the best goal was Jordan Sinnott against Baseford United. There were 3 to choose from in that game. So he scored a hat trick. But yeah, it was his first goal of the match.
Was
I
it
think first
second?
or second. I think it was second. Yeah. Long range strike, about 30 yards, maybe 25, 30 yards. Sort of swung a bit in the air and
Swang a bit.
swung a bit. Yeah, I've just made up a word there. Swung a bit in the air, and keeper had no chance. Sort of smashed in off the woodwork right in the corner, and yeah, Sinnott's goal against Baseford back in January 2020. That was the best Matlock goal. There were 3 nominees and that got about 60%. So yeah, that won pretty comfortably.
Football pornography, that goal. Just not only the finish itself, but then just the swagger that Jordan had after. He didn't go. You see, I hit that, as I say, balding, overweight, tattooed man. That goes into the highlights of my life forever to score a goal like that. But with Jordan, and you see it in the video, he was such a talented individual. He just shrugs, and it's like, yeah, it's a normal day of the week for me. That defines brilliance. All the lads gathered around it. I can't remember whether it was Peter Cruz, whether he did the boot shining celebration for Jordan, but it was just mind blowing to see at the time, and I think our listeners have made a fantastic choice there. So congratulations, Jordan Sinnott, on that one, taking home a golden fence post. Mm-hmm. Move on to our second award of the proceedings. See, I can count. And that award goes for best signing. Now, I believe our nominees for this one were a certain Ryan Coulter, the Goliath of the Matlock Town defence. He only heads everything, Ryan Coulter. And I believe, Matt, what was the other option? Can you remember?
It was just those two.
Well, I don't know how to tell you this, Matt, but I only mentioned one person.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead
unless you're trying to tell me you put up Ryan Coulter twice.
No, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Sorry, there was one other nominee, yes. That man was Liam Hughes.
Oh, a Goliath in attack. A man who was up as well for best goal award. He took the ball down on his chest, volleyed it past the keeper against Ashton United. So 2, again, big choices. But what I want to know, Matt, is you sit there, tie and tails, waiting to open the golden envelope clutched between your fingers. Who is the man taking home the golden fence post for most signing? No, for best signing.
Best signing. The most signing award. It was close. I think it was about 60-40. It might have even been a bit closer than that. It was Ryan Coulter. Ryan Coulter won best signing. So yes, Liam, he shouldn't feel too despondent about not winning the golden fence post. I'm sure he's got a trophy cabinet at home that was waiting for that trophy, but don't feel too despondent. It was close, but Ryan Coulter's wall-like performances at the back secured him the trophy.
I'm sure it would have made a great loo holder for him, the golden fence post. Perhaps display it, in a not in the lounge because it's a bit, but maybe in like an offshoot room somewhere. I mean, what do you say about Ryan Coulter? I don't know if you've seen that, and I don't know if any of our listeners have seen. We've been doing a Matlock Town football manager save over on the Twitter sphere.
Yes,
Um,
I've seen it. Yeah.
I no longer like Barwell for reasons people probably aware if you've seen this. League form, pretty good. FA Cup run, non-existent. FA Trophy run, is going all right. But in that save, my highest average rated player, so the player who's played the best, Ryan Coulter. The game knows. The scientist at Sports Interactive sat down and they said, Matt Lucktown, who is their best player, in your opinion? Miles Jacobson, who is the head of Sports Interactive. I believe he looked down at his notes and he said, this Ryan Coulter bloke is a Golden Fencepost winner. And there you go. We are changing the world with these awards. But we now need to move on to our third award of the evening, which is actually our fourth award. You see, I'm really, really good at counting. And our fourth award is an award that acknowledges improvement. You know, we all, when we start out as small babies, we grow into toddlers, we grow into children, we grow into teenagers, we become adults, we all improve in life. And although you obviously can't sign a toddler to play first team football for Matlock, you can sign a young teenager or somebody who is a few years older wanting to show why they should pick up this award, show how they brought improvement to the club. Now, there were two nominees for this award. The first one, Deck Walker, a player who has come on leaps and bounds at Matlock, scored some important goals. And there was also another man. And who was that other man, Matt?
The other gentleman was Reece Kendall, who came
Reece
in at the start of last season.
The left back who made the position his own, who, when he was out in the cold for a little bit, perhaps some people may say, came and made his position his own. Tough choice again. So I hand over to you, Matt, now. Will you please take open the golden envelope and tell our dear listeners who picks up the most prestigious golden fence post for most improved player?
So the contents of the envelope has told me that after about 65-35, it was a decent battle, but Reece Kendall came out on top. So he won the most improved gladiator of the COVID seasons.
Wow. Wow. An envelope-like structure there, apparently, talking to Matt. We should probably look into that. But it's, again, a deserving recipient of the award. Reece, come on leaps and bounds. He's made that left-back spot his own. He's somebody who I think we could put a lot of stock in. It's not only the present of Matlock Town, but maybe even the future going forward. He's somebody, as a young man, you can look to build the side around. And that's always exciting. Deck Walker, of course, missing out on this award, but he was rightfully a very, very good second. It's great. I think we can say this for every award, that it's been such a close fought battle. But Reece Kendall is your winner of the most improved player. Now, we have to go over and talk about those goalkeepers, those men with the golden gloves, those men who are the last line of defence. Without them, they say you have to be crazy to be a goalkeeper. Maybe you do. But maybe there is brilliance in craziness. And we have seen brilliance, Matt. We have seen quite a few moments of brilliance. And that's why put forward for this award was John Stewart. Do you remember what save that was for, Matt?
I do, yeah. It was John Stewart against Carlton Town, away at Carlton in the FA Trophy first qualifying round, I think it were. An outstanding tip over the bar from about a 25-yard free kick. I was right behind it, like really like directly right behind the netting. So I got an amazing view of it. So yeah, that was the first nominee, John Stewart.
Matt was so close to the action, and don't tell him this, he was actually stood on the goalkeeper's line. And he just boosted John up, and John managed to tip it over. So that was fantastic. Big assist there by Matt. But John's not our only nominee. A certain man who came out of the blue, it feels. And not only did he come out of the blue, but when he's in goal for Matlock, he dons the baby blue. And that man is the man who, you have to say, has made the Gladiators #1 spot his own, Sean Rowley. Now, what save was he in for?
It was during one of our games against Grantham Town, because we've played them about 25 times in the past 2 years. But Sean Rowley, it was the league match, not the FA Cup one of the season that we just had. And it was a bit of a battle. Matlock were 1-0 up following an early Det Walker penalty. It was a very scrappy game, as it usually is at Grantham's ground. And then Grantham started to come into it a little bit right towards the end of the game. And close range effort, sort of like following a bit of a goalmouth scramble, following a corner. And Sean Rowley pulled off an outstanding sort of tip around the post at full stretch to deny, who were it? Might have been Ashley Worsfold. Can't remember. But excellent tip around the post, which definitely secured the 3 points for Matlock. Sean Rowley was nominated for that one.
Now, I don't know, can you hear that, Matt?
The sound of silence.
No. Clearly, you know, I know but I can hear the rustling of a golden envelope.
Oh,
with a winner inside bursting to get out. So, Matt, will you do the honour for us?
Yeah, I'm opening the golden envelope now, James, and the contents of this envelope-like structure have told me that it's Sean Rowley. Sean Rowley won it for his tip around the post against Grantham. Is a fan's favourite. And he secured the win. I think it was quite comfortable, this one. They were about 70-30. So Sean Rowley wins best save of the season. And I'm sure there'll be many more to come.
Do you know, Matt, why they call him Sugar Sean Rowley?
He makes the sweetest saves, so they say.
Hey, get us on radio. We'd be a great little duo. If you need a drive time show, you need a bit of banter, presumed sentence. Give us a call. I can't say presenters apparently now, but give us a call.
We'll work on it.
Now we're moving on to an award that embraces brilliance, that perhaps sometimes goes unmissed, that sometimes that maybe, it isn't as in your face, but the work that they do is just as vital as a super save or a screamer of a shot. And do you know what award I'm talking about, Matt?
Is it the most underrated?
Oh, he's good. He's good. He knows. Now,
journalism instincts kicking in there.
Most underrated. First of all, our first nominee for most underrated is a certain Mark Lees. Now, hang on. I'm just hearing from the academy. We've made a mistake. Have we
got Det Walker and Spencer Harris the wrong way around?
I believe so. Shall we restart the whole podcast?
I think, yeah. Sorry, the most improved. It was Reece Kendall beating Spencer Harris. Yes, so Spencer Harris was in that category, and the two for the most underrated is Mark Lees, and it was Deck Walker was in that category.
So hang on just a moment. You're telling me that the man who, the Perlo of Matlock Town, Spencer Harris, the man who dons a headband sometimes, and we have to give him his dues. He's somebody, I think you're right, come on leaps and bounds. I believe that was your choice as well. So if we need to blame anybody for forgetting that, there you go. You know, my pick, I remembered. There you go. No, I'm not a good journalist, so it's over. But as you say, you've named the nominees for the most underrated Matlock Town player. It's a toss-up between Mark Lees, Deck Walker, two titans. Mark Lees, a titan of the midfield, a man who has the bulldog spirit. If you wanted a man who gave you passion, who gave you work rate, who gave you desire to win every ball on offer, they call him the White Kante because he. Oh, they do. Trust me. Trust me when I say that. He's a man who, when people watch him, they say, hey, that is the man they created the words box-to-box midfielder for. And second on list, Deck Walker, a man who is proficient from the penalty spot, a man who stares goalkeepers right to the soul from the spot and feels no panic in the pit of his stomach when he puts the ball into the top corner. But there can only be one most underrated Matlock Town player. And the golden envelope has just arrived from Tibet. It's just been posted to Matt. His fiance's brought it upstairs for him, along with a cup of tea. What a fantastic woman. Very kind. He's very lucky on that. But Matt, I believe that the gold envelope's sitting on a silver tray beside you there. Can you do the honours of unbuckling the clasp on the envelope and telling us who is the winner of the most underrated Golden Fence Post Award?
Yes, it was a close vote. It was Brexit all over again, and it was Mark Lees. Mark Lees won. I think he was very close. It was within 10%. I think it was about 55-45 maybe. But yep, Mark Lees won. So he's won the most underrated player. Just beat Deck Walker there. So yeah, Mark Lees, the glue that sticks, that holds Matlock together. That was Dave Wild's own words earlier on last season. So yeah, Mark Lees gets to put that on his mantelpiece. He's a proud man today.
Now, a deserved winner, I think. There'll be no disagreement. The White Kante there, picking up the spoils of award season for himself. I'm sure he will use that golden fence post. Possibly if he needs an extra post in his garden for some sort of goal, maybe needs something to hook to his washing line. The golden fence post can be that thing. Now, move on to what I believe is our final awards day, Matt. And it's quite, it's quite something that our final award comes from taking a trip, what I believe the football fans call an away day. Days that can be filled with booze, buses, banter.
All the bees. Not actual bread.
Bees. Don't bring bees on the coach. That would not be good. I don't want to be stung by bees, so keep them off the coach. But there's two nominees for this. And when there were two names that popped up, and I'm going to talk about mine very briefly. My choice, which was Eastleigh. Fantastic away day. We sadly didn't win the game, but it as a footballer, you want to be involved in the bigger games. You want to be involved in the occasions. You want to feel the electricity around the ground. And, you know, when we say feel the electricity, we mean emotively. Don't stick a fork in the charge points, any grounds. You don't want to feel that electricity.
I knew it was a bigger game than normal because I think that's still the only Matlock game I've covered where I've actually had to fill in a form when I arrived at the stadium to say that I was arriving and part of the media. I had to fill in a form so I could then go into the media bit.
He did.
That's when you know it's got big. You have to fill out a form.
So, all in all, it was just, you know, we as a Derbyshire club, we don't get to venture out to that part of the country very often. So to be able to do that was always fun. It was a great laugh. We had a great day out. In spite of the result didn't matter when all said and done, because it's the memories you make along the way, and there'll be memories that we all can look back on. You know, I believe myself and Matt sat together on the way down there. Probably talked a lot of nonsense, you know, but we had fun. We visited the pub that day.
We did, yeah.
Always good. We visited Greg's on that day, which again, always good. Greg's, if you're listening, give me a call. I'll be a brand ambassador any time of the week. But that wasn't the only choice, Eastleigh. I believe there was... You'll have to excuse me, Matt, but I believe I'm hearing the sound of seagulls. The sound of the sea lapping against the shore. That can only mean one thing. Matt, who was your choice?
So my choice was Scarborough Athletic, the Flamingo Land Stadium, which is a fantastic named stadium. For quite a few reasons, because I love a good coastal ground. That's always good. And the facilities at Scarborough were great, really, really good. I got like a hamper at halftime, pretty much. It was great. I had some tomato soup while I was during the halftime interval. It was great, whilst hearing their fans being quite nasty towards Steve Kittrick. Obviously, a little bit harsh on him, considering Kittrick did get them promoted about 2 seasons before. But there you go. Scarborough, just a very good away trip. Lots of sentimental value because, as we all know, Scarborough is the Paris of England. So that's why I chose Scarborough to propose to my girlfriend. So there. Scarborough was my nominee, but who wins? I'll have to open this envelope to find out.
Sorry to tell you, ladies, if you didn't know before, you know now. Young Matthew, he's off the market. And that, you know, you created a memory there, Matt, a lovely memory, you and your fiance. I know you've not planned a wedding date yet because of something called COVID-19. But that's a memory that's going to stick with you for life. But was it enough to get our listeners on your side to vote for Scarborough Athletic, or will it be a case of Eastleigh just coming through and stealing a golden fence post here? One thing is for sure, it is what it is. Matt, not who, unless the grounds have become sentient beings, but which club will be picking up the coveted golden fence post? Now, I believe how enormous this award is, we've had to send this golden envelope on a tour of all 20 Premier League clubs. It's now been returned to us.
It's gone around like the Olympic torch. It's gone on the tour.
Oh, it's seen sights you wouldn't believe. London to Sheffield, Sheffield to Manchester, Manchester to Newcastle. You name it, it's been there. And it now stands in Matt's noble fingers. And he's going to take those fingers and he's going to do the clasp. He's going to withdraw the paper parchment that says who our winner is. And we're not even going to need a drum roll because I'm going to hand over to my co-host and he's going to give you the winner.
So the people have spoken, and it's the award is going to go first class down to the south coast. It's going to go down to Eastleigh.
Oh,
so yeah, Eastleigh won. It was close from what I remember. This was also might have been the closest one, but yeah, Eastleigh won. So I think the cup journey has just beat sort of like a nice trip out to the North Yorkshire coast and some good pubs there. So it was a close run thing, but it goes to Eastleigh. Obviously, it'd probably be quite a while before we end up playing Eastleigh again. I'd imagine we'd both need to be in the National League for that to happen. But unless we draw each other in the FA Cup again. But yeah, so we've drawn. Eastleigh won the final trophy there. So yeah, goes to Eastleigh. So we'll see. We'll have to do these awards at the end of next season. So we'll see what the next award for best away trip goes to then. We'll also just add, like I said before as well, but whenever Matlock do next play Scarborough away, which hopefully would be a Saturday afternoon, so you can get more time there. But do look out and try and find the pub that is quite reasonably close to the stadium, which genuinely does have a quote from Steve Kittrick in the pub, which is it is what it is. It's genuinely in there. I think it's something like the Ship Inn. It's something.
Whoa, you can't call it that.
I'm
sure
it's harsh. I mean, it is quite a nice pub, but they decided to call it the Ship Inn. But
you're steady on, sir.
Yeah, but yeah, it does genuinely have a Steve Kittrick quote next to something like Brendan Ingle, one of boxing's most famous British trainers, and lots of other famous sportsmen from Scarborough, around Scarborough. And yeah, there's one little one from Steve Kittrick, which really made me laugh when I saw it.
So that concludes the Golden Fenceposts. Some very worthy winners, some close seconds. Debates will continue. But we asked you, the listeners, who your choices was. You came back to us. You told us. You indulged us with your opinions. And that only leaves us now to thank you for taking part of the Golden Fenceposts voting. And hang on a minute. Breaking news might come into me.
Okay.
Breaking news here. I'm hearing that Matlock Town have agreed a new shirt sponsorship deal with Envis, the current shirt sponsor, and that I just need to check I'm hearing this right here. The home and away shirt for this coming season are to remain the same. And I believe I will have to check with my sources about this, ketchup and Daddy's brown sauce.
Your cat is loving this news.
Oh, he loves Envis. And I love Envis because they support Matlock Town. And I support Matlock Town. But as Bear is keen to tell us all here, yes, Bear, you're not wrong. They are coming through, and with the new shirt sponsorship deal there, it means that we will be keeping the home and away shirt, which means you are getting value if you've already purchased a shirt. The club's not going to come to you and it's not going to say, look, you've got to use this shirt for 6 games and ask another 40 quid. Yeah. It's not happening. Matlock Town is a club that cares about its fans, cares about its community. And as such, the shirts will be remaining the same. The sponsor will remain the same. The cat will remain the same. Thanks, Bear. And
a ticket staying the same for next season, or has that not been announced yet?
What's that, Bear? Okay, the ones I actually want you to meow, you don't bother. Thanks, mate. He's telling me that as far as he's aware, prices are to remain the same.
Very good.
So it's not very often in this day and age that you can go to a game with a £20 note in your pocket. You could get into a game, you get your pie, you can get your peas, you can get your chips. Yes, your chips, bear, that's right. And you can get a pie. And out of that £20 note, you'll pretty much still have change. Maybe enough change for the bus home, depending on how far you're wanting to go. Non-league football, true value. And I'm glad that will continue at Matlock Town. So there you go, breaking news on the cusp, on the end point of the Golden Fence Post there. Me and Matt not aware of that before today, but just as we were rounding things up, that bit of news came to us. As always, finger on the pulse. Yes, Bear, finger on the pulse indeed. Keen to put out there the news, and that's a fantastic, fantastic result from Matlock on that score. So there we have it.
Very good. I think we've reached the end.
Oh, well, that only leaves us to do a few little bits then. Wrap up this podcast. Be back in 2 weeks. And that leaves me to say, first of all, www.matlocktownfc.co.uk/club shop. Do visit, do purchase some items. We've got caps, we've got hats, we've got pendants, we've got pens, we've got mugs, we've got different types of mugs, all for your purchasing pleasure. Everything, all the profit from each item goes straight into the club bank account. It helps the club going forward. Get involved. Lovely, lovely stuff. Secondly, golf day. As I said earlier in the podcast, if you want to tee off with the Gladiators, then you need to get online, book your tee time. There isn't much time left. I don't know how many more times I can say time in that advert, but there you go. Thirdly, maybe one of the most important things, we head over to Matthew Rhodes and I say, Matt, what are you up to this coming week? Have you got anything to plug? Tell the people about?
Yeah, a few things to plug. With my Olympic stuff, so if you're into Olympic sports, it's really not that far away at all. It's only about 3 months away, and we've got two people that are that have Derbyshire links. We were definitely going to be in the marathon races. So Jess Piasecki, who is from Stockport, but we're allowing it because she's part of Derbyshire Institute of Sport. So that's where she trains, and she now lives in Derbyshire. She lives in Peak District. So I did an interview with her recently. So she's going to be in the women's marathon. You've got Ben Connor from Derby. He's going to be in the men's marathon. And they've not qualified officially, but it's like Hull City in League One. They've not officially secured promotion, but they're as good as. So you're going to have some swimming representation from Derbyshire in the Olympics, and I'm working on getting an interview with them. So if you stick around on social media, you should be able to see hopefully an announcement within the next week or so where I'm able to interview one of them. I know these are Matlock's main rivals, but Abby Wood is from Buxton and she's all but qualified. So I'm hoping to interview Abby Wood. And these are Chesterfield's main rivals. This is, a bitter pill for me to swallow, obviously. But God, what's her name? Molly Renshaw is from Mansfield. It's hard for me to even say that. But she trains with Derbyshire Institute of Sport, so she has very close Derbyshire links, and is definitely one to look for in the future, and may genuinely do very well in the Olympics in the swimming pool. So I'm hoping to get an interview with both of them, hopefully, and hopefully that'll be within the next week. So yeah. Oh, and also for the non-league magazine, For the Love of the Game, for the May edition, I'll be interviewing someone with links to Lewis FC, their men's and women's team, because as far as I'm aware, they are still the only club in the world that gives equal pay to its men's and women's players. So I'll be interviewing someone to do with the coaching staff all about that. So yeah, quite a lot to plug there.
Very, very much so. That was not just a plug, that was pretty much a plug from an extension lead onto a bunch of other plugs. It was quite the plug-a-thon.
There you go.
It makes me wonder, Matt, what would you rather win? A gold medal at the Olympics or a golden fence post?
Well, I think the golden fence post is more prestigious. I love the Olympics, but let's not go crazy here. The golden fence post is something that I want, up on a shelf in my house. I'd like all of the awards, best save, best goal, all of them. So I've got to work on actually being a good footballer first. But the golden fence post beats the gold medal any day of the week, James.
Dream big, my friend. Dream big. Matt, where can the good people, our good listeners, find you on the Twitter machine?
On Twitter at Matt Lockroads, spell MATT LOCK. You can have a look at all the Olympic stuff on there that I do, as well as obviously any Matlock stuff that comes in. And also as we get closer to the season, there'll be more stuff, more news in terms of North Derbyshire Radio and what they're going to be doing with non-league football coverage, which will get announced probably in about a month or so in terms of the stuff that we'll be doing. But it's going to be very, very detailed, very detailed. So yeah, also keep an eye and an ear out for that one as well.
You can't be stopped.
I know, it can't be stopped. There's a lot going on, yeah.
He is the busiest man in sports journalism today. Usually, I don't have anything to plug myself. But as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we are currently doing a Matlock Town-based Football Manager 2021 simulation save. Taking control of the Gladiators, all the thrills and spills of management. We are chronicling. There we go. Got there in the end. Our adventures on Twitter. We invite you, if you're a Football Manager fan, you played the game. Maybe Matt will join in with this at some point. We want to see your saves. We want to see what you've been up to when it comes to managing the Gladiators. Are you capable of winning the league? Will you be fighting relegation, or will you be mid-table fodder? We want to see and we want to find out. So come over, join in. It's a good laugh. My own Twitter, at the Matlock Fan. I post about my deliveries that take a heck of a long time. And the fact that it took me, if you believe computers, it would take me over a year to install Football Manager. When in reality, it only took about 5 minutes. So come get involved. We'll have a laugh. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. I can't promise this, but the cat who is sat beside me currently and who is, making a major play from the Griffiths household here to be the podcast cat. I believe we might have a cat battle on our hands here. The podcast cat. We'll have to see. Maybe there'll be appearance on Matt's side of things. The feline family.
Can I just, as a very, very final thing, because I know we've probably gone over an hour now, but just a couple of things that I've seen on social media where if you do use Twitter, it's very much worth having a look at because it's very funny.
Hang on. Are you telling me, Matt, that you want to bring in a brand new podcast segment?
Yes.
And you want to tell me that this is Matt's Media, where Matt explores the social media landscape, cherry picking the best it has to offer.
It could be
our listeners.
Yeah, like make it non-league, linked. Obviously, not just any old thing. But yeah, there's just two things very recently that I've seen today, which is very, very, very funny. The first one that I've seen is Hedge End Rangers FC, who I'm going to be completely honest, I've never heard of before. I imagine they are quite a long way down the football ladder. They've had a friendly match today, and the referee genuinely had to stop the game 2 minutes into the second half. And this is an adults game. It's not like an under 14s match or something. The referee had to stop the game to demonstrate the valid way of taking a throw-in, because apparently he was getting so fed up of calling foul throw-ins. There is a picture to show it of genuinely the referee showing the players the correct way, the legal way to throw in, which is amazing. So that's very good.
Do you think that, given the club's name, that perhaps when they were going to throw the ball itself was getting stuck in the hedge? Possibly,
but yeah, they seem to have taken it quite well. They've seen the funny side of it, but yeah, it's just a very funny picture of a referee genuinely pretending to take a throw-in, and it's just got players watching him like, oh yeah, that's how you take it.
I want to add as well that if you want to see these moments, that is Matt's Media Moments. Matt's going to retweet these onto his own social media Twitter sphere. So you can head over to his account. That again is at Matt Lock Rhodes, but Matt with a double T because his name's Matt. It's very clever. I was very impressed. Go give him a follow. You can see these stories. So that was story number 1. Tweet number 1. Let us know about tweet number 2, Matt.
The final thing I'll say in this podcast, it's amazing. It is linked to Matlock's league loosely, but Baseford United's manager, Steve Chettle, of course, pretty well-known name, played for Nottingham Forest for a very long time in the Premier League, but now manager of Baseford. Someone has found like an old Nottingham Forest match program, I think, or like a fanzine. And it has an amazing picture of like a young, like teenage, maybe like 20-year-old Steve Chettle. You just need to see the picture to believe it. It's amazing. He's going for like a Backstreet Boys look, or like Five, if you remember the boy band Five, or like A1, like a boy band like that. Incredible. He's Steve Chettle as you've never seen him before, and he's just responded to it on Twitter. And again, he's seen the funny side of it. It's an amazing picture of him, and I'll never look at Steve Chettle the same way again.
Can you confirm for me whether Five can indeed get down?
Yeah, they still can. Yeah,
it's great news. I was very, very keen to put the rumours to bed that they were now unable to. So, and I want you to know, dear listener, that wasn't planned. That was a bit.
Wasn't planned. I just came across it.
That was a bit of, it was a bit of playful banter that turned to a new segment. Matt's Media Moments. The Triple M. He's a triple threat with his media moments. So we are now actually going to wrap up this podcast shindig. My name is James Griffiths, at Matlock Fan on social media. His name is Matthew Rhodes, at Matlock Rhodes on the Twitter sphere. We will be back in 2 weeks' time even less when you hear this, because this podcast probably isn't going to go up till Monday. So if we're a day late, blame me. There you go. And we shall see you again in the none too distant future. Thank you for your time, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Goodbye, everybody. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.